I was talking to my mom a couple weeks ago, and she loves telling people that I'm on a TV show, but she couldn't even remember my character's name, and I've been on this show for almost 6 years, So I think for my mom, and also it's culturally, like, she wants to brag about me, but she doesn't necessarily really know the details about it. So when I talk to her, she's like, so when are you going to be in a bigger movie? When are you going to be in a bigger show,
Hey guys, welcome to another installment of Stories from the Valley, a series where we chat with ordinary people that have chased their passions and have achieved some incredible accomplishments in their career. Today I chat with actor Shaan Sharma, who plays the character Shmuel in the series The Chosen. Shaan has worked alongside some legendary actors like J.K. Simmons, Colin Hanks, Eric Avari, and he has some really great stories to share. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Shaan Sharma. Well, Shaan, thanks for hanging out today, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm blessed. How are you?
Doing great. So you are 4 years into playing the character Shmuel on the show The Chosen, which I'd love to hear all about that journey. Before we get into that, can you give me just a snapshot of what your childhood was like and how you initially got interested in acting?
Yeah, my childhood was lovely in so many ways, but in other ways it was really difficult. My parents are both immigrants from India. I was born and raised in Minnesota, and we had a very dysfunctional, unhealthy kind of family dynamic, and it made it so that I never really wanted to be home, and because of that, my grades really suffered, and I had to go to summer school to graduate from the 9th grade, and it's there where I met a man who would become kind of my mentor through high school. His name is Roger Mann, and he happened to also be the director of the high school musicals. I started doing plays in my sophomore year of high school. I did 9 plays while I was in high school. And then after high school, I got into acting in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. And I did that for about 10 years before I moved to Los Angeles, which is when I kind of got into the professional film and television side of things. In 2010, I booked my first co-star role on a show called Greek. That was my first kind of professional television credit.
Stuff's got nothing to do with actually getting the job. A lot of it's who you know, to be honest.
Have you decided on a wine?
What's the wine you'd order on that list if money was no object?
The 92 Montrachet.
Excellent choice, sir.
You also did a lot of work as a casting director. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, not as a casting director. It's called a session director. So I wrote a book even called A Session Director's Guide. A session director works for and with casting directors. And the role of a session director is to essentially run their auditions for them. So the actors would come in to audition. They wouldn't be meeting with the casting director. They would be meeting with me. And I would be the one that would tell them what's happening. I would be putting them on tape, directing them, helping them do their best. And then I would do that for 50 to 200 actors a day, depending on the job and what it is that we're doing. It really helped me learn how to educate actors. It showed me what people tend to focus on and where they make unnecessary mistakes or where they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. Running sessions, I did that from about 2007 to about 2017, 2018 when I joined the board of the union. That's when I stopped doing session directing as much.
Several pages of the former First Lady's upcoming memoir appear today on the DC Dishes website.
I think you were just touching on this a little bit, but I know you're really active in the Actors Union.
Yeah, serving in SAG-AFTRA has been one of the biggest kind of parts of my life since 2015, 2016. And I am on the local board of directors here in LA. I'm on the national board of directors. I was on the negotiating committee that just negotiated this contract where we went on strike. So yeah, being part of union service and leadership has led to so many positive things. It's one of the most meaningful things that I do.
Awesome. And I heard you share in another interview that Sean Astin has become a close friend of yours. Was it through the union that you met him?
Yeah, so some of you know Sean Astin as Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings. He was also on Stranger Things, and now he's on The Conners. And before that, he was in Rudy, and he was in The Goonies. Sean's been a movie star since he was a kid. When I grew up in Minnesota, the idea that I would end up meeting Shaan was just, a improbability, to say the least. But from getting involved in union service, you end up working with people that you never would have imagined that you would have ended up working with. Shaan invited me to lunch because he had heard about the kind of advocacy that I was doing. And from that lunch, we just ended up striking up what is now, he's one of my best friends. It's like the brother I never had. And we have worked together to make things better for the union. We served on the negotiating committee together. We spend hours every week just talking about how to make life better and supporting each other through the ups and downs. And you never know who is going to come into your life, especially when you put yourself in an organization like SAG-AFTRA.
Very cool. So I know you've taken your years of knowledge and done some teaching as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Storytellers Conservatory is the name for my studio. I brought in a couple of my close friends that I had worked with in casting to come in and teach, who are also working actors. And so the three of us have this studio together where we develop actors for film and television and commercial acting. And we teach on a very small scale, 6 to 8 students per class. My classes typically go at least 4 hours, depending on how many people are in class that day. When you have fewer students, you can actually spend time getting to know them and keep track of their development. And so it's a very personalized experience.
It seems like you'd be able to offer a lot of different angles of advice with your experience with acting and the casting sessions and your time in the union.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's one of the weird things. It's not like I tried for this to happen, but most people who teach and most actors, they don't have the different vantage points that I have ended up with. But the fact that I have the acting experience as well as working on the other side in casting means I can see two sides that are very important to the equation. And then being a union leader allows me to see the entire industry at a bird's eye view and really see what the trends are, identify what problems are. I describe my information as very thorough, high-level, vetted information because it's very well-rounded. It's informed by a lot of different vantage points that very few people have.
Awesome. Hey, well, I'd love to pivot to talking about The Chosen. Can you tell me about how you got involved in that show?
Teacher, you have moved us all.
Shmuel?
Will you do us the honor, Rabbi?
If that's where you keep the white sardines.
We certainly could get...
It was a joke, Shmuel.
It's been a journey that started in 2018. So yeah, we're entering our 6th year of being on this ride with each other. I had an audition that my agent got me for the role of Simon Peter. From what we understand, a lot of people were given the Simon Peter material just as a first kind of, let's just see what people do with it, and then we'll be more specific after that. I got the first audition for Simon Peter, then I got an in-person callback with Dallas here in Los Angeles for Shmuel. And when I got the Shmuel material, it was confusing because I was like, oh great, I thought I was going to be auditioning for some big role like Simon Peter. Now I'm going to play some guy named Shmuel who isn't even in the Bible. But that was an inaccurate assessment because not only has Shmuel been a central character from the beginning of the show, but Shmuel has also got a very distinct journey that puts him in a very unique place compared to the other roles on the show and characters on the show.
How long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all the day?
You're losing something. I know what that's like.
What are you losing?
Time.
Shmuel has had a really interesting character arc since the start of the series. Do you kind of have a general sense of where his character is going to go from the get-go, or are you just script by script learning where Shmuel is going next?
Yeah, Dallas has chosen to be pretty tight-lipped about where our characters are going over the entire 7 seasons. But we do get all of the scripts for a season before we start filming. So I got all of the season 4 scripts in March of last year. So I could go through and see, okay, what's Shmuel's journey going to be this season from episode 1 to episode 8? And so I've been able to do that throughout the seasons to craft kind of the development of Shmuel as a character over time. That's a lot of fun to be able to decide, how is this going to change him? How is he going to grow? How is he going to regress?
I prayed with this man, Yanni. He wasn't what I expected.
I think that people can very easily miss the lesson that Shmuel's character is intended to convey to us. And that is that we are all Shmuel sometimes. Some of us are Shmuel all the time. We are so sure that we're right about something that we literally can't see something true that's right in front of our eyes. Shmuel might be wrong about Jesus being a false prophet, but it doesn't mean he's a bad person or he's a villain. In fact, we don't want people abandoning their core beliefs so quickly, otherwise they're not really reliable and dependable. Life can very often be this tension between sticking with what you know is right and then admitting and recognizing when you might be wrong and making a change. So I hope Shmuel inspires people to be a little more patient and a little more loving towards those with whom they disagree. You might disagree with someone, it doesn't mean that they're a villain, and you being cold or mean to them isn't probably going to make things any better. So I really love being in that role and having the opportunity to shape Shmuel's journey and help people get as much out of it as they can.
I've found a matter of law I'm deeply passionate about. One that resonates with many others, even as far away as Jerusalem.
I'm delighted to hear your fervor, Shmuel. Tell me, what is it you've become so passionate about?
False prophecy.
In season 1, you got to work closely with legendary character actor Eric Avari. Did you learn anything working side by side with him for so long?
He and I had breakfast together, and he shared with me his stories of being a ethnically East Indian performer breaking into the industry in the 70s and 80s. I would say Eric is one of the pioneers for people of East Indian descent in breaking into Hollywood and getting into professional film and television. And he's been in some of the biggest shows and movies in the industry. Acting with somebody like that is just an effortless pleasure because they're so in it. They've done all the intellectual work to really be truthful in those situations. Working with him was so fun because we were just two Pharisees 2,000 years ago talking about all of these issues. There was no acting. There was just performing with another really immersed, accomplished performer.
Can you talk a little bit about what your relationship with Dallas is like?
Where's my Shmuel?
Right here, bro. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah, I think Dallas is a cyborg machine. The dude just does it all. I don't know how he does it. He directs, he writes, he produces and oversees the entire organization as a showrunner.
Shaan Sharma plays Shmuel. I know that's fun to say. Beautiful, wonderful actor. Becomes a really key character in season 2.
Dallas is so collaborative. Oftentimes I'll roll onto set and I will do what it is that I have created based on what they wrote for me. And if Dallas needs to adjust anything, then he'll come up and talk to me about what he's thinking. If he sees me do something that's a departure from what he wanted, then he'll come and say, walk me through what you're thinking, just so I understand what it is that you've chosen to do.
When he says, just relax, my thought on that moment was, I don't want people to be afraid of me. I want to reach them with my message.
Oftentimes he'll be like, great, go with that. Or he'll be like, actually, let's try to do this. On set, I come prepared and ready to do my work, and I think Dallas really appreciates that, and he just has to give me little nudges sometimes. And we all bring ideas, and sometimes they work for him and sometimes they don't, but you're never afraid. I'm never worried about bringing up an idea or trying something with him.
You! By whose authority do you teach? Answer me!
Outside of acting, what do you want to see yourself pursuing, whether that's writing, producing, directing, and any other aspirations outside of acting?
Oh God, I have so many aspirations. I'm going to need a few more lifetimes to get it all done. I have a incredible podcast called Table Read Podcast. It's been in the top 10 of fiction on Apple Podcasts. And this year, I think, is going to be a real turning point for it.
If I haven't met you, my name is Mark Nell. This is Jack Levy.
Hello.
Do you know Shaan Sharma? We created Table Read based off what Shaan did.
At a school where no one knows who's inside the football team's bulldog mascot costume, two wayward 15-year-olds are about to start a band. Hi, I'm Ty Burrell. Soon I'll be narrating PB and Franny. It's good. Fred Armisen's in it. Say hi, Fred.
Nah, I'm not going to do that.
Well, you kind of did.
Shaan, you've been super generous with your time today. So this series is all about people that chase their passions, don't necessarily go the the standard route with their career, and you're an awesome example of that. Any encouragement that you want to leave the viewers with before we wrap up?
Oh gosh. We say around the show that God does impossible math, and that it's really your job to bring the loaves and fish and let God do the rest. No matter how unrealistic you think your goal might be, you should know that if you pray about things and you listen to what the answers are, and if you really are committed to something, you can do just about anything. Dallas was totally justified in having hesitation about whether anybody would crowdfund this show based on a little short film he made for his church. And he got 10 million from 19,000 people, you know what I mean, to make season 1. So he was as surprised as anybody that's possible. It can sometimes be hard to see how you're going to accomplish something, but you certainly aren't going to accomplish it by not doing it.
Awesome, man. Well, Shaan, this has been a lot of fun for me. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for taking the time with me.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed hearing Shaan's stories. I know I had a blast chatting with him. If you enjoy hearing behind the scenes stories like this, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.